Welcome to another episode of the Mad Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Begley, Goni, and Wayne.
What is up, Mad Mob? Like Damar Hamlin, we're back from the dead. Beggs finally figured out how to connect his computer to the internet, and a year and a half later, here we are. Gentlemen, how we doing after a crispy week 4?
I'm down from the gambles.
Hurting real bad.
Yeah, gambles haven't been good to us. But you know what? We're going to be good to you all with some of the spiciest waiver wire pickups of the week, led by a one Matthew Fulgonjamin. What you got for it? Lead us off this week, man. What you got for us?
We're
just going to jump right into it, man. We've been raring to go.
Absolutely. All right, Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is the first one up. I personally love it. The man was in street clothes about 2 weeks ago, got signed to the practice squad. He suited up this week for the Chiefs, and he got the bulk of the carries, which is kind of wild to me. Carson Steele, all it took was 3 opportunities and a fumble, and that man will never see the light of day ever again. Never. So, I mean, you kind of have to feel good for Kareem Hunt. Apparently, when you really, really need a running back, it's okay to do the things that you do in Kansas City and whatnot. Come on back, Kareem Hunt.
It's been
14
long.
for 69.
Statute of limitations.
2 catches. 16 yards. Pacheco and Steele combined have left behind 3 targets per game, so that's always good. We know Kareem Hunt is solid in the passing game whenever he's asked to take on those duties. During his previous stint with the Chiefs, he averaged 3.5 targets a game, 2/3 of the team rushing attempts, and 50% of the team targets in week 4. Rashee Rice, as we know, he has a potentially season-ending torn ACL. That'll open up at least 10 more opportunities a game. So kind of looking personally in the way too early before we see next week's game. I'd like your guys' opinion on it as well. I think it's more of a, Travis Kelce-led offense. Travis Kelce owners rejoice. He may be back, and then we're going to spread it out to everyone else a couple times. A couple deep shots to Xavier, Worthy. And I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think it's Kelce. I mean, I think it's his time. Worthy, I don't trust him. I mean, I think he's a Jameson Williams kind of player. 2 for 74 and a touchdown. So I like Kareem Hunt a lot, man. I think there's a big void to fill in that offense now, both at the running back spot and in opportunity.
I think he was brought back. I mean, he, as we all know, he was released from that organization a couple years ago. And I think he was going to be their guy for a long time if that situation didn't happen. So I think, and the staff is still, somewhat the same as when he was there. I mean, obviously the coordinators have changed, but Andy Reid's still there. Front office is still generally the same. And he's always kind of been an under-the-radar stud. I mean, he kind of got hidden behind Nick Chubb, who's elite, and then he just faded out after he didn't get a contract. So he will always, in my opinion, be one of the most underrated running backs ever, just because of his situation and the guy that he had to sit behind as he rehabbed his image back to NFL standing. So he doesn't have a lot of mileage on him. Age-wise, he scares you. But I don't know. He's been in a 50-50 share for pretty much his whole career, and I think if he's given that number 1 role, I agree. He could be a game changer for your fantasy team with Pacheco being out for a while.
What are we talking fab-wise? What are we throwing on him?
Dude, if you need a running back, 40%.
I was going to say 50. I was going to say 50.
That's fair.
I was going to say 50 as well. If you're hurting for a running back, I feel like this is probably the lockiest lock of guys that are on the waivers to get opportunities going forward, right?
I'd go up to 60 and be okay. If you need a running back, Kareem Hunt, age-wise scary, mileage-wise not scary at all. Talent-wise, it's all there.
All right.
Great.
Beggs, throw one at us.
I'm going to stay in the running back department. It's a guy I love, Justice Hill. I don't think people realize just how good he's been this year, man. He's top 10 fantasy points per opportunity. He's top 7, like top 7 in the league. Yards created per attempt. He's top 6 in targets, top 3 in receiving yards, and he's on the field for half the time. Right? So what you're getting is a guy who has standalone value, who also, if Derrick Henry goes down, becomes top 10 back? Is that too crazy to say in that offense? If Derrick Henry goes down, I mean, Keaton Mitchell's still out for a while. He's by himself. So you got a guy getting a lot of work. He's prolific in the receiving game. He's making big plays. And the offense doesn't throw the ball that much. And when they are, they're throwing it to Justice Hill. What do y'all think?
Top 10. It's hard for me to take any Ravens running back top 10 regardless of their situation. That's just not the type of offense that they have personally. I mean, I know Derrick Henry just went nuts. But that being said, I agree wholeheartedly in that the fact that he's got standalone value just on his receiving work alone. Just watching this past game where they dominated. So many Lamar Jackson ranks so low in the NFL in depth per target, and that's Justice Hill land. And Mark Andrews hasn't necessarily been their guy this year. He actually had 1 or 2 pretty bad drops last week. So I think for those short yardage passes, which Lamar does a lot, Hill's been great. So, yeah, I think if he's on the waiver, he's definitely somebody you need to target.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there as well, especially if you've got a roster spot and you're needing a running back. I honestly think he's someone I would like to plug and play in some of the tougher matchups. We saw, against Kansas City, they basically were getting blown out. They scored the first touchdown, and then they absolutely got rolled on. And that's kind of where he did his work, because Derrick Henry comes on the field, all right, they're running the ball. Derrick Henry comes off the field, all right, they're probably passing the ball. That's pretty much been the story for them thus far. Derrick Henry got a little more passing work this previous game against Buffalo, but I kind of like Justice Hill in those games that, they're playing the tough opponents, because he's got 18 targets so far through 4 games. And I mean, it's something that you like to see. He doesn't get a whole lot of carries. He's capped at 5 in week 3 against Dallas. His yards per carry have been good. It's just, you brought Derrick Henry in for a reason. But if you're in, PPR, obviously PPR league, Justice Hill's a good guy to have out there just in case you need a plug and play in a pinch. I'm with you, Beggs.
I think fab-wise, for me, I like 25%.
That's close to where I was. I was thinking 20.
It's just so lean at the running back spot, man. To get a guy who's getting half the backfield.
I'm 20, but I'm leaning more towards 15 than I am 25.
I was actually I'm down at about 8.
8?
8
what
personally. What
kind of number is that?
$8. $8. Because
He's
I like
just a
to play
scary
the game, dude. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I play the game basically. Like, people like to throw their fab out in increments of 5 or nice round numbers. So I try and creep up over the top a little bit. I don't know. Maybe he's a guy that people throw a lot of fab on. Maybe not. But yeah, I mean, I'd go after him. I just wouldn't want to drop 25% on him. Just me.
Okay.
That's fine. I'll throw at a guy that I plan on putting even less than 8 on. And it's purely just off of an injury fill-in. Trey Sermon. He's a guy that hasn't really had a lot of opportunities this year, and to be honest, hasn't really done too much with them. But when you look at him from a career perspective, I mean, from a career standpoint, he's averaging over 4 yards per carry. He's been in the offense. He knows. He's been around the NFL. He's not a guy that's going to be wide-eyed whenever he steps to the line. Jonathan Taylor, we don't really know the extent of his injury. Colts said they aren't considering IR, but you never know, because especially with Jonathan Taylor, who's had kind of an injury-riddled career so far. So yeah, Trey Sermon, for me, he's like a 5% guy. somebody who you really need to go get if you have Jonathan Taylor. If you have Jonathan Taylor, I'd put it up to 10%.
For me, with the high ankle sprain, he is purely a try to be ahead of your league mates on this. And if Jonathan Taylor ends up missing quite a bit of time, you got a guy on one of the best rushing offenses in the league. So,
yeah, the high ankle sprain is kind of tricky. Usually it's like a 3 to 4 week injury. Some guys, obviously they can make it back sooner. Some guys take longer. I think it kept CMC out for like 8 weeks when he had it a couple of years ago. So it's just one of those, like a hammy. You know how Julio Jones, Mike Evans, the hammies flare up at a certain time of year, and you never know how many games it's going to be. That's how I feel with a high ankle sprain. So I like Trey Sermon. I think he's a guy that you'd pick up and play at least over the next 3 weeks. I'll say that. I'll go out on a limb and say that. So, yeah, I don't know. He's a guy I'd take. Jacksonville, Tennessee, Miami coming up. Jacksonville's a good matchup. Tennessee, Miami. I don't know. Who would you rather have right now, Trey Sermon in the backfield with Anthony Richardson or Joe Flacco?
Joe Flacco, right? Anthony Richardson, he's awful. He's an awful passer. Terrible. But he's great. He's got great legs. So if you're the defense, what are you looking to stop? You're looking to stop the run. You're stacking the box. I mean, the only good thing that could come out of that is run fakes. AR goes one way, Sermon goes the other. But at least when you got Flacco, you got to at least keep one safety back there.
It's fair.
I mean, Taylor's RB6 this year with Anthony Richardson. I'd probably go with AR.
Well, Taylor's also Jonathan Taylor.
Their line's been playing well. I'm
good.
kind of a don't fix what ain't broken kind of thing. If Jonathan Taylor's doing that well, you'd have to figure Trey Sermon will. Again, Trey Sermon hasn't done anything in his career, so I'm not going to say Trey Sermon equals Jonathan Taylor, but I would love to get him. Personally, for me, I would throw 30-35% on him.
On Trey Sermon?
Yeah. On Trey Sermon.
Nah, I'm capping at about 10%. Unless he's my handcuff. Unless I have JT.
I'm trying to snipe him off the waivers on the low, hoping nobody knows about the ankle sprain. So I'm at like 7%.
Fair enough. I'm dying for running backs. That's just me, man.
But you won't pay 8% for a guy on the Ravens getting 50% of the work?
It's different types of running backs. Justice Hill's not going to get the carries. He's not going to get the opportunities. Even if he got max capacity receptions, the opportunity amount is still going to be lower than Trey Sermon and Kareem Hunt. That's where I'm at. Opportunities is I love volume bags. I know you hate it, man. It's tried and true. But I'd rather have the opportunities.
Okay.
That's all. I hate holding my breath whenever Lamar drops back, hoping he passes it to the running back.
Okay. All right.
All right. Back around here. We're going next. We're going to go to a wide receiver, guy that I took in our cap league for dirt cheap because I desperately needed someone, and he's kind of panning out a little bit. Darnell Mooney for the Falcons. Not too bad. He went 3 for 6 for 56 yards last week. Got a 94% snap share, which is the 5th highest in the league. 21st in total yards. He's got a 21% target share in the offense, and he is top 25 in separation and route win rates. He's been getting targets the last 3 weeks. He looks to have established himself as the clear deep shot. What are you doing, man?
Just listening.
Okay. All right, cool. He looks to have established himself as the clear deep threat. Kirk Cousins has taken numerous shots at him over the last couple games. He's still got the speed. He was a dog in Chicago, at least for 1 year. Brought in a whole lot of receptions. He's just a guy I like going forward. A lot of the attention's been on Drake London, and I feel like Darnell Mooney's he's got good opportunity, and I think Kirk Cousins realized that as well because the balls haven't been going to Pitts. So that's where I'm at with him.
Wayne, as a guy who, first of all, I like Darnell Mooney. The thing that stuck out to me was he really never leaves the field. 95% snap share, right? He's always on the field. Wayne, as a guy who loved Kyle Pitts, not to derail us, how do you feel about Kyle Pitts right now?
Who's the guy that loved him?
You.
Boy, I come through this camera and smack you. Everything that I've ever said about Kyle Pitts is coming true. That is what it is.
Okay.
I called that one. I called that one many moons ago.
You did. It pains me to say it, but you did. I asked Goni this question earlier. If you have Kyle Pitts, would you trade him for a first?
100%.
Would you trade him for the 112?
100%.
All right. My next pick.
Would you give up your 112 for Kyle Pitts? Let me ask you that.
If I didn't have a tight end, I probably would, yeah.
What do you draw the line out when it comes to tight ends?
Below Kincaid. Maybe below Freiermuth, who's above Kincaid, but just
I was going to say Freiermuth is top
He
5
is.
right now.
he won't be there long term. But like that's that territory. Maybe I'll tell you what. Maybe below Hunter Henry.
Is Goni's head doing weird things on your screen too?
No, well it just normally does weird things.
Fair
All
enough.
right, my next guy. We're going draft capital. Xavier Legette, coming off a monster game, 10 targets, 6 catches, 66 yards, 1 touchdown, 19 fantasy points. The thing I like most about Xavier Legette is if you look at his trajectory, he's on the field a lot more. He's earning more snaps, especially with Adam Thielen going out on IR. I think there was some question if Mingo or Legette would get the snaps. I think the answer is resoundingly Legette. Andy Dalton's dealing, boys. Offense doesn't look bad.
Yeah, I mean, I know when you say he's on the field a lot, you're talking about his snap share, but I just like the fact he's on the field a lot more just because the offense is on the field more with
Touché.
Bryce Young's tail on the bench. He's bad. Bryce
Yeah.
Young is terrible, and this
He's
offense looks, dare I say it, good with Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton was the first quarterback this year to throw for 303 touchdowns.
It makes you feel
How
gross
wild.
saying that the Panthers' offense looks good, but since Andy Dalton took over, it looked good.
Yeah, it does. So to me, I'm trying to take advantage of my league mates being a step too slow, being a week behind, right? Buy into the Panthers offense. I think he's the wide receiver too, and he had a touchdown that he wasn't able to drag his second toe on, so it could have been a much bigger day.
Yeah, I mean, he got 10 targets. You love to see it. Like you said, Thielen's out. Wayne, like you said, the offense is on the field. More importantly for fantasy, though, the defense is bad. They're going to be playing from behind a lot. So, yeah, the offense is going to stay out on the field. They're going to stay passing. Andy Dalton really does make the whole thing go. Chuba Hubbard looked good.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm with you guys. I really like Xavier Legette. I think he's a guy that'll be, I think one of those guys you can snipe off of the waiver wire just because of the filth that is the Carolina Panthers thus far.
Yep.
Just the bad taste it probably leaves in people's mouth.
And the good thing is you don't have to worry about like a situation of a crappy quarterback that just got replaced because they got hurt. Like tonight when Will Levis's shoulder went, he had a little owie on his shoulder, and the Titans took full advantage of it and let Mason Rudolph just take over, even though he was fine. 5 plays later, Bryce Young got benched. You know what I mean? He's not coming back as long as Andy Dalton's dealing. He's going to be out there, which is great. To your point, Xavier Legette getting 10 targets. That's
10
what
targets.
it's all about. I mean, touchdowns come and go, but volume stays. So yeah, I love it. I'm all the way up. I'm at like 50%, maybe 55% if I need a receiver.
I was more like 33 for me. I love the draft capital, and he was drafted by the current coaching staff, so they're committed to him.
I think you can get away with him for cheap. Like I said, this is just where we differ. You had it on another one. I think you could snipe him. I'd be willing to pay 10 tops, probably. I think you can get him for that or cheaper, honestly. I just don't think people are going to be all in on the Panthers offense like that. And Xavier Legette. I don't know. I could be wrong. That's just where I'm at.
Okay.
That's
Waynezo.
fair. My guy, I'm sticking with running backs for now. I got Rico Dowdle, Cowboy. Just an absolute crowded running back room of old guys and flaming hot turds. Everybody was kind of worried whenever they signed Dalvin Cook, and he proceeded to get 9 attempts week 1. So everybody thought that maybe he's back, but outside of his 14-yard rush, he went 8 rushes for 21 yards, and then they let him rush 7 times the week after that, where he averaged 1.9 yards per run, and then got 1 rush week 3 and nothing week 4. Dalvin experiment's done. Rico has led the Cowboys in rush attempts. He's led them in targets. It's just kind of a situation of when's he going to start capitalizing a little bit more, because he got a receiving touchdown this past week. If he can just Zeke's not really been a threat. I mean, even from week 1, he's gotten more opportunities than Zeke. So I think Rico's the young guy. Zeke's not going to be around. I think they're going to start slowly leaning on Rico more and more. I like him. I like him right now in a redraft, and I love him in Dynasty.
I think it's his backfield, man. Deuce Vaughn, I mean, he's got some work. He doesn't have it. Rico's the best we got. And Dallas' schedule over the back half of the year is the best for running backs. I'm all in on Rico, man. I probably 50% for me at least.
Cincinnati, Carolina, Tampa Bay, Philly, Washington to finish the year. Yeah, that's phenomenal. I'm with you guys. Deuce Vaughn, personally, to me, seems like he's going to catch the ball, but he's not going to take carries. Zeke seems to me like he's going to carry the ball, but not really catch anything, even though he's not doing much of anything. I think Rico Dowdle is the perfect blend of both. He can do both things, and I feel like he can do it effectively. I think what's really hurting and why his production right now hasn't been higher, because he's averaging over 4 yards a carry. He had 2 games thus far with 5 targets. The Cowboys just aren't playing ahead like that thus far. We're talking about 2 blowout games, really. They had to climb back into the Ravens game. They blew out, Cleveland, but it was the first game of the year. We don't really know what we have at that point. And then they just had a dogfight with the New York Giants. So I think if we see, that offense, really more so the defense, kind of hold up, not give up so many points, the Cowboys start to take bigger leads in games, maybe we'll get to see some more runs, and I think he'll be the benefactor for that. So I'm in there. I think he's definitely a guy to have. He's a must-have if he's on your Dynasty waivers. Absolute must-have on Dynasty waivers. For any kind of redraft, I'm in there as well. I would probably take him at probably 30%.
So Trey Sermon is your guy to get. That's your
Trey
guy.
Sermon was at 30% too, wasn't he?
You said 50.
I didn't say 50 on anyone.
Wayne, confirm.
I'll put a doink on that one. First doink back on the podcast. I promise you, I didn't say 50, bro. I did lose one of these though, but it was to Wayne.
Wayne, confirm.
I don't think he had Trey at 50.
All right, I'll eat crow. Ali Crow. All right, I'm gonna move on to a receiver. Sorry, go.
Can I add that to the ledger?
No, I think this is the most criminally underrated guy on the waivers right now. To me, he is the number one target. Wandale Robinson. Go Cats. The guy is a PPR machine, boys. Daniel Jones is getting the ball out quick. He has the fourth most targets in the NFL total. He's averaging almost 10 targets a game. He's got 38 on the year. He and Neighbors together combined for almost 60% of the Giants' targets. It's a two-man team. The problem with Wandale is everything's short, right? He's got to do all of his work on Yak, but in a PPR league, this guy's killing it, boys. And he has the same number of red zone targets as Malik Neighbors. I was really surprised to dig that stat up. So I'm all in on Wandale Robinson. To me, he is a 60% fab kind of guy, especially if you need a receiver, I'd go up to 75.
For me, I had him on. I picked him up last year, and I kept him on my team for the back half of last year, and through the offseason, just because Daniel Jones got to throw it to somebody, and they went and drafted somebody, and I thought, well, I've had him for this long. Let's see what's happening. And needless to say, he's staying put. I love him. I mean, in a redraft, I put him probably only at about 20-25%. But you're super happy to have him on your team. It's the Giants offense. It's Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones he makes it hard to have a good ceiling. So it has nothing to do with him. But as long as Daniel Jones isn't being stupid, I love Wandale.
Give me a percent.
I'm with you on that. I'd probably put him at about 30% as well. And that's just my style's different than yours, Beggs. You hate running backs. I value running backs higher. I tend to think, wide receivers are more or less a dime a dozen. A key running back waiver pickup can win you a league. Wandale Robinson is phenomenal. He's phenomenal this year. But, I mean, with what he's doing, he's got you a safe floor. His ceiling isn't very high. I don't think he's going to win you a league or anything like that. 11, 9, 13, 18, solid. But like you said, is that going to win you a league? 11, 9, 13?
A lot of injuries going.
It might help get you there. I mean, I'm not like poo-pooing on your pick at all. You just gave me the look when I said 30%, bro. That's all I'm saying. I just don't value wide receivers like that because there's another guy that could probably come along in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, to Begley's point though, if you snag a dude off waivers in week 4 and he gets you 13 points, you're pretty happy. I feel like
you're pretty happy. I'm just saying I'm not going to drop 75% fab happy on him. That's all I'm saying.
No, he ain't.
That's all.
Points,
that's all.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a price, and I'm with you. I'd love to have Wandale Robinson. It's just like I said, I prefaced it with my play style is I'm probably never going to spend over 50% on a wide receiver. I'll do it on a running back, but not on a wide receiver.
So you missed out on Puka last year?
Oh, I missed out on Puka everywhere last year. 100%, bro.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So, speaking of stupid, Goni, you skipped Wayne over. So, Wayne, you got to go back-to-back, King.
No, I didn't. I got Trey Sermon and Rico. Just got one guy left.
I'm stupid. I'll go on mute.
Ouch. How many guys have you all covered?
3.
Kareem Hunt, Darnell Mooney. I had 2.
So Begley's one that skipped somebody over.
I don't know how. I followed Goni.
Goni, go ahead, man. Wrap up your third, and then I'll wrap this whole thing up.
This guy tried to shift blame to me.
Yeah,
well,
he's the one that skipped. He called you
red-handed, dude.
You know what else is stupid?
Speaking of stupid, did you see what Goni just did? Man. All right, let's get this done. Guys, this is a must-have for me. Wayne, you got to have him in your winter league or winner league, or anyone that's got Breece Hall in general. Braylon Allen. You got to have Braylon Allen if he's out there. 8 carries this week, 34 yards, 1 catch, 12 yards. Not, the most appealing thing in the entire world when you look at it as like a base stat line, but He's getting more involved in the offense every single week. He's got a 30% snap share year to date. He's averaging 4.8 yards per carry right now. He's averaging 11 fantasy points a game versus 15.5 for Brees over the last 3. And he's, more importantly, in my opinion, the most important handcuff in the league right now. He's a guy I'd be willing to drop 40% on, at least 40, 45. He's not the starter yet or anything. And if you're a Brees Hall guy, I don't even have Brees Hall anywhere. I say yet. I don't want it to become like that because you don't want to prey on someone's downfall via injury. But yeah, Braylon Allen, I feel like he's got to be rostered.
Got to be. He looks good, man. He's got juice.
He's got juice. He can catch out of the backfield. They trusted him enough from week 1 to get him involved. And it's just going up. He's just getting more opportunities. You have a great offense. I won't say great offense. It hasn't been so great this year. But you hope that Aaron Rodgers rights the ship.
Yeah. In every dynasty league we have, I'm trying to buy him for a second. Nobody's selling, which tells you something.
Yeah, I'm not selling. You asked me earlier as well. I drafted him in the 3rd, and he's a guy you just hang on to right now and see what comes of him. Yep. Wayne being the Brees Hall owner of the group, actually Beggs has him as well in another league, our dynasty league, that we're the 2-time champions in the last 3 years of. How do you feel about it, Wayne?
I like him. It's kind of it's kind of like I have like a weird superstition of like if I check the organ donor box on my license, then I'm gonna die because there's somebody out there way better than me that needs them. So the universe is gonna take them. So I feel like if I really drop a lot of fab on Braylon, then Brees Hall is gonna go down. I'm with you. I mean, I like him, but like in my redraft league where I do have him, I don't know. I mean, 25%. If there was a bigger bench, I might drop 40. But I don't know. It some of that has to do with roster construction as well. Like in my case, I drafted Nick Chubb. I got Javonte Williams, James Cook. So I'd like to think that Nick Chubb can roll in if something terrible happens to Brees. But everything's sitting good, then once Nick Chubb comes back, it's Brees and Nick Chubb. If Brees goes out, it's James Cook. So my roster construction, I don't see myself putting anything over 25%. But if I didn't have like a solid third running back on the bench waiting in the wings, then I definitely would put more on the handcuff, up to 40%.
And that's where I'm at as well. All these that I've mentioned as far as like how much fab is for like the guys that really need them at these particular positions and stuff. Trying to do it in a vacuum, because like you said, roster construction always plays in. And obviously knowing your league mates also, and who's going to drop what on guys is going to differ. But yeah, you need a running back, get him. Beggs, other Brees Hall guy.
Yeah, I'm a little higher than Wayne is. He's like Justice Hill for me, where he has standalone value some weeks. I think he gets better as the year goes on, and on top of it, he's a top end handcuff. So he's probably a 30 to 40% for me.
Fair. All right, boys. I'll round out the waiver episode with a one Sir Dontavion Wicks, wide receiver, Green Bay Packers. Boys, Jordan Love came back, and Green Bay made that man throw. He absolutely got the bag, and they are using him. 54 attempts, threw the crap out of the ball. Wasn't even really that efficient. I mean, under 60% completion percentage. My man's threw 3 picks, but he still threw 54 times, 32 completions, 4 touchdowns. Absolutely went nuts, and that obviously translated to an incredible Dontavion Wicks game with 13 targets. Only 5 receptions on those 13 targets, so a ton of room for improvement. But obviously the most important part is they found him twice in pay dirt. He hasn't been. This is really the first game he's been like really utilized in. He had a touchdown a couple weeks ago, but now that Jordan Love is back, and they threw it that many times, and he wasn't that efficient, and Wicks still got that type of fantasy output. He's a 40%er for me. I mean, if he's on the waivers, he's a 40%er for me. I have him. I went ahead and just got him in a dynasty league. Actually drafted him in the rookie draft as a project guy. So I've kind of been eyeballing him even since college. This is week 4 has been his first like real breakout game, but 13 targets in Jordan Love's first game back. Love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Jaden Reed's receiving room, right? But Wicks has the same target share in the season. I think it's pretty impressive. Everybody wondered what Green Bay was going to shake out to be. I think Romeo Dobbs was the name that I personally thought would shake out behind Reed. Probably Wicks.
Yeah, no touchdowns this year for Dobbs. And honestly, looking at this room between Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson was another guy that people were very high on. 1 target last week, 2 targets the week before that, 8 targets on the year. So, I mean,
You know how many he's going to have next week?
0.
0. He's going to have 0 the week after that too. High ankle sprains, man. They're real. They're real. They're coming for people. He's going to be on the shelf for a little while. His might even be a little more severe than the other player we were talking about earlier.
Rappaport did say they haven't mentioned anything about IR, but Rappaport did say he is a good candidate for IR. So, yeah, it's more on the serious side of high ankle sprains.
So, I mean, that just opens up some targets right there. Granted, Christian Watson's never been a high volume target kind of guy, but, one more guy out of the offense, just one less mouth to feed. So it's very encouraging seeing, Dontavian Wicks get 13 targets. He can do things with the ball. Jaden Reed's dynamic. I don't necessarily think they're going to find ways to get him the ball no matter what. So even if he's not getting 8 targets a game, he's going to get 8 opportunities a game no matter what, because they're going to put the ball in his hands. They do things like that because he's such a dynamic player. But he's a guy, Dontavian Wicks is probably my favorite out of the bunch of wide receivers that we've named.
So if each of you had to name one name off the 9 we mentioned, that is a must-have for you. Wayne, I'll go with you first. Who are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with, and you know me, you know the type of guys I like, the type of teams I draft. I'm going with Rico.
Goni?
I'm going Kareem Hunt. You know me, I'm a big running back guy. I wish I had him in ours. We have Isaiah Pacheco, and he's going to be out forever. So give me a running back with all the carrying opportunities and a good offense.
Okay, I agree with both of your suggestions. I think there's 2 RB1s on their team there. Just to be different from the receivers side, I'm going to go Xavier Legette. I think he's good. I'm gonna go all in on the Panthers over Wandale.
Sounds gross, but they're different under Andy.
Yeah,
that's right.
What happens? And I was kind of making weird faces when we were talking about Darnell Mooney, just because I know that this man used to love him some Darnell Mooney. So the fact that he could talk about him again was making him so happy. Beggs, what happens if 2 years the stars align and Gabe Davis finds himself in a beautiful situation and happens to just get a couple receptions? What's going to happen?
I tell you what happens. He goes to his closet. He gets out the posters again. He gets out the bed sheets and the jerseys and the shirts, and he's ready, dude. We're gonna hear about it.
He gets the paint remover and gets the paint off of the fat head that's been on his wall.
Yep.
Man.
Oh my God. He had a shrine to Gabe Davis.
Dude,
That's somewhere.
I just hope he's not near his
Somewhere.
computer. He'd have the stickiest keyboard.
Man.
Big show.
And to think Wayne, the guy whose picture was in Wayne's locker for his entire life, DJ Moore. DJ Moore was dead to him the second Justin Fields was the quarterback. And then from the ashes, DJ Moore just has the greatest
back.
fantasy season he's ever had.
Dude, that's what I should do, man. Hey, Mad Mob, if you're watching, I've got a lot of blank space here that need jerseys. A DJ Moore one. Obviously, Mike Evans got to go up. Do I just get a DJ Moore one?
Yeah,
I feel like I have to.
it's a good guy to
Now-
tie yourself to.
I feel like
Unlike
I have
Gabe.
to. All right, Mad Mob, it's good to be back. Rest in peace, Pete Rose,
Legend.
the real MVP.